On December 18th, 2011, 23-year-old Phoenix Coldon left her family home in Spanish Lake, Missouri, for what seemed like an ordinary drive. She didn't tell her parents where she was going, and she didn't take anything unusual with her. Hours later, her black '98 Chevy Blazer would be found abandoned in East St. Louis, Illinois, the engine running, the keys in the ignition, and the driver's door left open. Phoenix herself was gone without a trace. That single day marked the beginning of a mystery that has haunted her family for more than a decade. A case that remains both unsolved and overlooked, despite the many questions it raises. Phoenix was the only child of Goldia and Lawrence Coldon. She was deeply loved and raised in a structured, faith-centered home. To her parents, she was bright, athletic, and full of potential. A skilled fencer, a musician, and a college student, Phoenix seemed destined for a promising future. Yet beneath the surface, cracks were forming. She had withdrawn from friends, struggled with direction, and was secretly living a double life that her parents would only learn about after her disappearance. The Phoenix that her family thought they knew, and the Phoenix who was grappling with independence and secrecy, painted two very different pictures of a young woman caught between expectation and reality. The discovery of her SUV was both alarming and confounding. Found in East St. Louis, a city notorious for crime and violence, its placement raised more questions than answers. The vehicle wasn't wrecked. There were no clear signs of struggle inside. Her glasses, her shoes, even her purse were all missing. It looked as though she had simply stepped out and vanished into the winter air. Authorities towed the Blazer to an impound lot without realizing its connection to a missing woman for several days, a delay that robbed investigators of critical early opportunities. For Goldia and Lawrence, the news was devastating. Their daughter's car was found, but Phoenix was not. As investigators pieced together her final days, a more complex portrait emerged. Phoenix had recently stopped attending her college classes without telling her parents. She had also been living, at least part of the time, with a boyfriend her family didn't know about. She had created a second cell phone, hidden from her parents, through which she communicated with people they had never heard of. Her journals and social media hinted at inner turmoil, moments of doubt and feelings of being trapped between the life her parents envisioned for her and the independence she craved. The Phoenix Coldon of December 2011 was not the perfect sheltered daughter her parents believed they knew. She was a young woman facing choices, mistakes and pressures she could not fully share. The Coldon search was relentless. They distributed flyers, organised prayer vigils and reached out to the media, but the coverage never matched the magnitude of their loss. Questions about race and media bias surfaced quickly. Why did the disappearance of a bright, talented black woman fail to command the same national attention as similar cases involving white victims? Goldia and Lawrence were left to fight not only for answers, but also for awareness. They refused to let Phoenix's case be forgotten. Even as tips dried up, leads went cold and the trail seemed to grow colder with each passing week. For them, the search was not only about finding Phoenix, but about giving their daughter the voice the world had denied her. Leads trickled in, but none brought clarity. Some claimed Phoenix had been seen alive in other states. Others whispered of trafficking rings in East St. Louis. Theories grew, but proof was scarce. Investigators considered whether she had left on her own, overwhelmed by pressure, or whether she had been forced into a dangerous situation beyond her control. Her journals hinted at inner conflict, at wanting freedom, yet fearing what independence might mean. Friends recalled conversations in which Phoenix spoke of wanting to start over, but none imagined she would vanish completely. Each theory carried weight, yet each left the same aching question unanswered. Where was Phoenix? For her parents, every day became a ritual of hope and heartbreak. Goldia drove the same routes, searching for traces, convinced her daughter was out there somewhere. Lawrence maintained faith that Phoenix would come home, that the door would open and life would return to what it once was. But as months passed, the silence grew heavier. Holidays became reminders of absence, family gatherings marked by a chair that should have been filled. The Coldons' determination never waned, but the weight of not knowing pressed down like a shadow that refused to lift. Their daughter had disappeared into the cracks of a system unprepared to fight for her. Years passed and still no answers. Documentaries and investigative series brought brief surges of attention, shedding light on Phoenix's double life and raising new questions about who she really was. Some viewers speculated she had orchestrated her own disappearance, while others believed darker forces were responsible. The contrast between the Phoenix her parents knew and the Phoenix revealed through hidden phones, relationships, and private writings became a focal point. Yet for all the speculation, the central truth remained painfully simple. A young woman vanished, and no one could explain how or why. The mystery grew deeper, and the silence more deafening. The Coldons never stopped pushing for justice, though. They challenged the media, asking why Phoenix's face wasn't on national headlines, why her story wasn't treated with the same urgency as others. They clung to faith and prayer even as time dulled the initial intensity of public interest. Their fight was not only for Phoenix, but for all missing black women, whose stories too often remain in the shadows. For them, searching for their daughter meant refusing to let her be erased, insisting that her life and her disappearance mattered, even if the world seemed to look away. Today, more than a decade later, Phoenix Coldon is still missing. Her case remains unsolved, her fate uncertain. Somewhere between the girl her parents raised and the young woman struggling for independence, Phoenix's life took a turn into mystery, leaving her family with endless questions and no answers. The car abandoned in East St. Louis stands as a chilling symbol of that day. An open door, an engine running, a life interrupted mid-motion. Phoenix's story is one of absence, but it is also one of resilience, of a family's unyielding love, and of a reminder that behind every unsolved disappearance is a person who mattered. Phoenix Coldon mattered, and she still does.